start. You know, the things that we had discussed that we knew were going to be their points of emphasis, it was right on. I mean, that driving the lane line, full court, you know, and when we stepped, we didn't step. And then when we did step, she dished it, you know, to the low post player, and we didn't slide. And these are all things that we prepared for, but we just weren't very sharp in the first, you know, 15 minutes of the game. And maybe even the first half. Then offensively too, we struggled, which we don't usually struggle against Wright State. I mean, they force a fast-paced game, and they don't, you know, I mean, they love high-scoring games. It's not like they hold their opponents to, you know, 40 points. They're you know, the scoring is free-flowing when they're playing, and I felt like we were very stagnant offensively. Second half, I think it became much clearer to us what it was we needed to do. We did start to rotate better. You know, fouling was a big problem. Offensive rebounding was a huge problem. Even when we rotated over, we had a guard on their big, and it was really hard to box out on the weak side of the floor. We scored the ball like crazy, and we you know, rebounded much better in the second half offensively. I thought I think the thing that I would say struck me the most about the second half is that, you know, down 19 or whatever it was, and we came out, you know, in the locker room at halftime. I mean, I'm like, this is what we need to do, and they're like, yeah, okay, this is what we need to do. Like, you didn't see any sign of we can't do this, or nobody was hanging their heads. They were like, let's go, you know, we've been down a lot this year. We've had, I mean, we don't beat anybody by more than 8 points. I mean, I think we've had almost every game by a margin of less than 8 points, and so we know what it's like to battle. We've been down before. I was really proud of just how hard we battled. And that was the thing that struck me the most. And we've got 3 seniors who don't ever want it to end. So I think you could see that out there today.
But obviously, you touched on that first half, and you dig that big of a hole against Wright State, though. I mean, you mentioned, you know, fast pace, you like that, but still, that's a big hole to come out of, isn't it?
It was much bigger than any. I mean, I just said to my staff, if we had made that, if that was a 14-point deficit or a 16-point deficit, you know, I mean, somewhere in there, I think we could have maybe overcome it, but it was just too big. And they were hitting threes. You know, when we did rotate, they hit some big threes. And we were really concerned about Boyd. We were really concerned about Stuckey. We were really concerned about jump. You know, and we said, okay, you got Denham shoots 19% from the three-point line. You know, that's a kid you can help in off of. Or you've got, you know, Mingo, who'd much rather, I mean, she can shoot it. We know that. But we want to play her to penetrate rather than play her to shoot it. And they hit back-to-back threes down in the corner when we had rotated really well. You know, they hit key shots when they needed to.
How hard is it to contain a player like Mingo?
I don't think you really can. I mean, she scored on everybody. I mean, she's, you know, you need to force them into a half-court offense. I mean, and she's really good in half-court offense too, but you can't give her transition and half-court. You've got to contain her in some respect, and we did a much better job of that in the second half of putting, you know, kind of building a wall after the half-court mark. We're like, no, you're not getting into the paint, and then forcing them to run the dribble drive, which they're very good at, but she can't do both, or you're in huge trouble. And she's very good. And if she's not scoring, she's giving someone else the ball in a position to score. So, I mean, she's Player of the Year.
Coach, how key was your senior class this year, not only for tonight's game, but throughout the whole season?
I mean, they're a special group, you know. I mean, they were tossed into the fire as freshmen. We had a ton of injuries, and they had to play a bunch, and we lost a lot of games by a lot of points. And so they had to grow up through that. You know, we had, that year when they were freshmen, we had been picked second, I think, in the Horizon League, and we had a really good veteran class, and we had a bunch of injuries. And, you know, I remember, like, third game of the year, we played Illinois at our place, and, you know, Kirsten Green went out. Not only was she the point guard, but she was our only point guard, because our first-string and second-string point guards were both out for the game with injuries. And she played 40 minutes, her first college game, and we got beat by like 30. And I remember, you know, those kids, they took their lumps. And after the first year, Imani, who couldn't score like from the perimeter, she was a post-up player, 5'10", post-up player, who was playing my 4-5 spot for me. You know, she just didn't have an outside jump shot. And after the season was over, she came in and said, I can't shoot. People aren't guarding me, so I need to shoot. So Coach Scott and her became best friends, and they were in the gym all the time. And Monty developed a perimeter game. You know, these three were very clear. There was no qualms about, like, you know, I'm satisfied with where I am or who I am. Like, you say to them, look, this is your weakness in the game, they would say, I know, so help me get it better. Help me figure out how to be better at it. And that's why they took us to where we are now. I mean, we had it set up to have a pretty special team this year. We had 4 kids sitting on the bench in sweats that were in our top 8. And when those 4 went down within the first 6 games, these 3 were like, it is what it is. I mean, so this is the hand that's been dealt to us, and we're going to figure it out. And to come away with 19 wins, you know, at the end of this season, you know, missing 4 key players, and other kids off the bench stepping up, playing roles that they weren't prepared to play, you know, in the beginning of the year. You know, those 3 were the core of it. I mean, they were the ones who said, it's okay, we're going to continue, and you know, we're still going to have the season that we want to have. And, you know, anytime you have leadership like that and people that are just willing to lay it all on the line, you know, I mean, what did they have to lose? This was it for them. So they've been a really special class. And, you know, personality-wise, they're the biggest personalities on the team, and you know, they have a lot of heart, and they have a lot of leadership, and they're all really darn good players.